join us here tonight as we're starting this out. McKay, if you want to take over for us.
Sure, yeah. Just a little reminder for everyone here as we go into our third episode. This is for the fans, where we'll be discussing the scoop, the stats, and upcoming games in the National Football League. And our hope is as this podcast grows in viewership, we'll branch out into some other sports, particularly the NBA. But for us here at the beginning, let's talk about the amazing sport of football and how this current 2019 through 2020 season of the NFL will play out. For those of you listening, thank you for joining us on this fun little experience we're starting out here. Shane, we've had a very interesting week, a lot of very interesting games that we weren't necessarily expecting the outcome to go the way that it did.
Oh, yeah, there were some games that I think came as a shock, not only to us, but probably to everyone around the NFL, putting some of the higher up teams on notice and putting some of the bottom teams, making them a bigger threat, and some of the middle teams just kind of, they were there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is, as we go into discussion of the weeks that we've seen, or excuse me, not the weeks, the games that we've seen this past week, one of the things we're going to be talking to is, it's playoff time is not too far off in the distance. We got maybe about a month and a half, we got a little bit more than that, and we're starting to see some of these teams really get solidified as who is going to be going in to the postseason as a potential contender for Super Bowl 54. And so as we go and talk about each of these matchups, we're going to be talking about the two teams, and we'll basically be discussing, saying, okay, how is this team playoff worthy? Are they going to make a push for it? Could they do it? Or is their season just flat out done?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a good idea now, and I'm showing everyone right now. And I apologize for last week. Last week I had some technical difficulties on my end, and by that I was being a dumb idiot and didn't show anybody anything for most of the stream. I got everything figured out. I got my lives put together. But taking a look at the NFL standings right now, AFC, like everyone can see who's kind of like in the top and then who's at the bottom. There's some obvious teams at the bottom. Some teams still have a fine chance to take over that number one spot. And same thing with the NFC. NFC I feel like is a little bit closer than the NFC, as in who can win the final spot for the team.
Agreed. It's fairly cut and dry in the AFC. I mean, it's not 100% certain in the AFC as of one of the games this past week can attest to that fact. But with the NFC, Shane, I do agree. We're still trying to figure out who really is going to claim that number one seed in the NFC, and certainly it is making for a very interesting season so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. So do you just want to go ahead and roll on into our past games this past awesome, interesting, fun week of the NFL?
But we always do, and so yeah, let's get it started. We're gonna start off as we always do with the Thursday night football feature, which was the division matchup for the NFC West between the Arizona Cardinals and the undefeated San Francisco 49ers. Shane, what are your thoughts?
I just want to say 49ers are still undefeated, and I have gone on to like NFL. I've been looking at power rankings by like the professionals, yada yada yada, looking at everything out there. They finally put the 49ers on top. And you want to know what's crazy? People are still doubting the 49ers, saying that they are not a good team. And I just want to put this out there. I apologize to any Patriots fans out there, but there is so much bullcrap going on around saying, with so many Patriots fans, they are coming out and they're saying, oh, the 49ers haven't even played a good team. And I'm like, 49ers have had some pretty tough competition. I'm like, and if you guys want to talk about playing a good team, you guys have only played, I think, now three. You played two teams with above a 500 win rate. And then the third team that I'm going to loop in there, the Steelers, they're 500 right now and have not been that good. They played the Bills, who they barely, and I want to say barely, beat them. And then they played the Ravens, and the Ravens just kind of pounded them. So in all honesty, like, give the 49ers some respect. Yeah, they've had some close games with some of the worst teams. But at the same time, they've also played some good teams, and they've been winning. They've been consistent. I don't want to hear like, oh, well, the Ravens lost to this team and they're bad. Doesn't matter right now. I personally think you guys just aren't giving the 49ers enough credit. And, I mean, looking at the score, I said they were going to win 38-10. You said they were going to win 35-10. They won 28-25. McKay, what do you think of that?
Well, first of all, Shane, all I gotta say is I feel like that was this rant, the salty rant that I feel like that was more directed as hate towards the New England Patriots than it was towards love of the San Francisco 49ers.
It's a little bit of both. I mean, like, okay, everyone here watching knows my team. Knows my team has not been that great this year. I still give other teams credit when they are doing good. And I feel like the 49ers just aren't getting the credit they deserve.
I agree. And here's one of the things, Shane, is for a while there, I was one of those doubters. I was one of those people who was saying the San Francisco 49ers, it's not going to turn out that way towards the end. I was thinking maybe they'll snag a wild card at best. I am now coming to this point where I have to, swallow my pride and say I was wrong. And in my opinion, I feel like we are looking at what could be the possibility of a San Francisco 49ers team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm with you. I was one of those doubters at the beginning, but we're at that point now. It's time to stop doubting. Yes, they'll probably lose at some point.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's
no one
fine.
cares.
It's okay.
We could still get them the number 1 seed. You don't know.
Yeah, like in all honesty, it's not about like who is the best team in the NFL right now. Because I mean, in all honesty, you never know that until the Super Bowl. And as a saying in my family we have is any given Sunday, any team can lose to any other team.
Agreed.
So, but right now the 49ers deserve a little bit more respect.
To say the least. And that goes on top of the fact that maybe they did have a bit of a humbling game against the Cardinals, because as we've talked about briefly, the Cardinals almost came back and won this game. They had that amazing 88-yard touchdown that came from Isabella, and it was something really cool. I was watching it, and my jaw hit the floor, and I was thinking, oh man, this could be a really interesting game towards the end. But you know what? The 49ers managed to escape, and they're still undefeated. But the thing is
have been putting in some work, and I think that is like something that should impress people, is that they come back from a lot of deficits. So at this point is my main thing is who is going to be the one to give them their first loss, or, and I'm saying this is a big or and if, what if they go all the way to the Super Bowl and win without losing a single game this season? That would be awesome.
We have not seen that since the 1970s with the Miami Dolphins.
Who, oh man, how far they have fallen. But they had a good news this week. We'll get to that later.
We've kind of talked about the Cardinals and the 49ers here. We've talked about their odds. Let's just recap really quickly, Shane. Cardinals, playoff team, could make a run.
I'm going to look at the standings, show everyone the standings for the Cardinals. They're at the bottom of their division. They got to get past the Rams, who are 5-3, the Seahawks, who are 7-2, and looking like playoff contenders, and the undefeated 49ers. The Cardinals are going to have a tough time if they even want to try to get in at this point. But at this point, I say pack your bats, call it a day, start again next season.
Arizona had a better season this season for sure, certain than they did last season. That's indisputable. Kyler Murray is a good quarterback for them. Maybe they can find something to roll here with Cliff Kingsbury as their new coach. But you're right. I feel like with as tough a division as the NFC West is, between the undefeated 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams still trying to make a run at the playoffs, Cardinal season at this point, it's not going to extend into the postseason, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, what are your odds of 49ers going to the playoffs?
Without a doubt, they're a playoff team. In my opinion, I think they're going to take the NFC West. If they don't, they'll at least secure a wild card spot in the NFC.
All right. So why don't we move on to this heartbreaking game, the game that makes me sad and wanted me to cry myself to sleep at night. Texans versus Jaguars in London.
Can I just throw something in here really quickly?
Go for it.
I just want to say, when we were on last week, you were very, very adamant about the Jaguars because the game was so close against the Texans the first time. You were very adamant that they would be able to pull it out this year. or not this year, excuse me, in this particular game, and it ended up being a blowout. I mean, what are your thoughts here?
Oh, my thoughts. I'm gonna save a lot of my fuel for later on. That way you can get your bid on them out, and then I can go off on my little tangent because we both know I'm gonna have a lot to say with this game. In all honesty, Minshew is a good quarterback, despite everything that transpired in that last little 4 possessions that he had, which sucked. Two interceptions and I think 2 fumbles.
Yes.
It was unfortunate, but at the same time, you can't fully blame Minshew, and I feel like that's what a lot of people do when those kind of things happen.
It happens in every football game. You
If
usually
you
blame
look back, because I was watching this, and I watched this a few times over just because I was like seeing what was going wrong, what was my team doing. And I've been saying this kind of since like about week 1 when Foles went out, which I'll talk about later. The O-line is not holding the defense back enough. Minshew is constantly getting pressured, and both of those intercepted passes he was throwing, he was forced out of the pocket within seconds of getting the ball. And as a quarterback, even as a good scrambling quarterback like Lamar Jackson, who can run around and throw the ball, even as a good scrambling quarterback, sometimes they really do need that extra time in the pocket to make those plays that everyone wants to see be made. And unfortunately, our offensive line doesn't seem to have it for me, and I really hope we get some upgrades and let go of some people just because I feel like they aren't contributing enough to the team.
Let me ask you this question. For those who are listening that don't know, I'm one of the things that I do enjoy watching when it comes to discussing the NFL season is, of course, Bleacher Report's Gridiron Heights. It's a lot of fun. You should go watch it. It's pretty entertaining. I watched the episode that came out tonight, actually, and it talks a little bit about, well, I mean, the subject of the episode is Nick Foles. And it does poke a little fun at Gardner Minshew, of course. And one of the things that they talk about is they address Gardner Minshew as mediocre Minshew.
Ooh, that burns.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Like, do you because it seems in your case you're still saying that Minshew is a really good quarterback, but the fault is with the O-line. What do you say to these haters who are saying, okay, Minshew is actually not that good?
I gotta say to these people, do you guys forget that he is a rookie who was a 6th round draft pick, who, for the most part, he came in week 1 of the NFL, week 1, after a very short Nick Foles drive, and has been a really consistent quarterback, broke many rookie NFL records, and he has a really bad day this week. In all honesty, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure that Tom Brady, in his first ever play as an NFL quarterback, he threw an interception. And everyone now looks at him as the greatest of all time. So, and he's always had like a pretty solid team around him. Minshew comes in for a hurt Foles, does not have a good offensive line, hasn't built this connection with this first string offense, and he's been pretty good at controlling the ball and keeping turnover free up until this past week. I think he is going to be a future head of the Jaguars. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's better than what we've had since David Garrard, who I liked him. I think he's a good quarterback. All the haters, I'll talk about Minshew later. McKay, you go ahead before I go on my soapbox.
I mean, the only thing that I want to say, I'll talk a little bit about Houston just for a second, because you clearly have Jacksonville covered. When it comes to Houston, I have been impressed with the defense that has been able to carry without J.J. Watt, who's going to be out for the rest of the season with a torn pectoral muscle. I've been impressed that, Houston has really been able to show their resilience, that they are still this team that is capable of trying to make a run for the playoff, trying to take the AFC South, which is also a very competitive division, as we've seen. I wouldn't, as of right now, it seems like it's neck and neck between Houston and Indianapolis, but who knows, that could be subject to change, whether we take, for example, if Jacksonville decide, with Nick Foles coming in, can make something happen there. But what I've been impressed with is, I've pretty much just said it right there. I've been impressed with the fact that they really have been able to show some spunk and some resilience when it comes to these challenging games, and that they're really showing that they are still a playoff caliber team. And at this point, Houston does have my vote for taking the AFC South, but only time will tell.
You're very right. And I just want to say, so real quick, throwing out what we predicted. I predicted 21-14 Jaguars. You predicted 24-22 Texans. The final score was 26-3 Texans. I just want everyone to know, I do not hate the Texans. I actually really like the Texans. I love the Texans. I love the Colts. I honestly love the entire AFC South, minus the Titans, because Jaguars and Titans have a rivalry. And every time I talk to a Titans fan, they just always yell and kind of complain about everything. But I have a lot of respect for the Texans and the Colts. I'm more than content with the Texans running through, because my philosophy in football is, if my team doesn't win it, whoever won our division, I want them to win the Super Bowl, because that means that my division had the toughest team that season.
Okay.
But
so,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, so kind of shifting gears back to our thoughts on the Jaguars. Shane, just really quickly in a nutshell before we move on to the next team, what are some of your thoughts about the fact that Doug Marrone is going to be putting in Nick Foles within this next game? He's going to be coming back, and that Minshew is going to be benched.
So I gotta say this, and this will be my last soapbox, most likely for the night. I personally feel like I'm in the minority. I say keep Foles out. Don't get me wrong. I think Foles is a good quarterback. I am more than happy with Foles as a starting quarterback. This season, though, with the broken clavicle, that's a serious injury. I'd rather have put him on the shelf this season. And let him sit out this season, let him rest, let him work with the chemistry, be on the field, just ready to support his team, go to practices, supporting his team. Let Minshew finish off the season, because he's been in control of this team this whole season. He's built up a strong connection with a lot of these players. They trust him. They like him. He brings I can't even describe the energy that he has brought to the franchise. The people in Jacksonville have absolutely loved Minshew. He's fun to watch. People loved him. Even the NFL was making tons and tons of memes about him. I think he's a fun quarterback to watch. He's a rookie. He's this underdog story. I think it would be best if they decide to, hey, we're going to keep Minshew in for the rest of the season, and then he'll compete with Foles next season for the starting spot. Probably give Foles the starting spot, because he is Foles. He is good. But you have that good quarterback with the experience, with the chemistry with his teammates, ready in case something like this were to happen again. In all honesty, they are going into a bye week, so that should hopefully give Foles some time to build up more of that chemistry with the team. And I think that's probably why they're leaning more towards Foles starting, because we do have that bye week coming up. But I do think that Minshew is a good quarterback. He's going to be the future of the franchise for years and years to come. I think, in all honesty, that's what I think, is that have Foles take the bat seat for this season.
Hey. I don't know if I can necessarily offer an opinion just yet. I actually really like Nick Foles. But tell you what, maybe we'll come back to my thoughts on it after we see how he plays. When, in the very first drive of the game, he doesn't break a clavicle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that as well. And I also believe in his first game as Jaguar, he did throw an interception. Nothing against him. It happens to everybody. But just saying, these kind of things happen. Anyways, let's move on to probably the other big soapbox game that we're going to talk about, the Bears versus the Eagles.
But I'm actually not going to spend too much time on this one. And that's not because I'm upset about what happened. I mean, if you look back on our predictions from last week, I actually did say that the Eagles would win it, and that did turn out to be the case. What were the predictions again? Can you just run those off for me really quick?
You said 28-21 Eagles. I said 28-17 Eagles. The actual was 22-14 Eagles. I just want to know, like,
go ahead.
What were your personal thoughts of the game? Like, was it a little bit closer than you thought it would be, or was it like about what you expected it to be?
To an extent, it was about what I expected it to be. I was very disappointed, as I should be, that at least for the first half, Mitchell Trubisky was only held to 9 yards. I mean, but as we've seen, Chicago offense really can't get it going. And then they tried to kind of get something going in the second half. I was actually really impressed with the fact that for some reason, all of a sudden, Trubisky turned his arm into a cannon and was able to fire down the field to Taylor Gabriel to set up a touchdown. But again, I think just really what killed the Bears on get anything going in the first half.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say...
No, I'm done.
So, with Trubisky, I know you talked about this last week, where you wanted a new quarterback. Is that still the case, or have you kind of changed your mind a little bit?
No. I still think that Chicago, at least in my opinion, I still think that maybe we should move on from Trubisky. But again, as I've mentioned before, I don't know how soon that's going to happen. I mean, the guy is a former number 2 pick in the first round of the draft. Coach Nagy really seems to like him. He has a really good working chemistry with all the guys in the locker room. What I've been a little bit disappointed about recently is not so much the offense. That's already been a disappointment. The kicking curse has returned. We've already talked about that. What I've been disappointed in recently is because of all these malfunctions that have been happening in Chicago. It almost feels like now the defense is starting to struggle a little bit too. And now I understand they have to keep coming back onto the field because the offense isn't performing well. But I feel like certain players on the Chicago Bears defense, Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller, they've been really quiet this season. And that's something, if anything, I would like to see more as we go through the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you. Khalil Mack was a big signing for you guys last season, and the first few games that he played for the Bears, he absolutely dominated offensive lines with his play, and this season, he's been flying under the radar a little bit.
And so that would be my only wish, is maybe we get to see a little bit more of that aggressive Bears defense that we saw last season. Because, one of the questions that I brought up here is, what can the Bears do at this point? If we're talking about these two teams, saying this right now, I think the Bears season is probably done. Maybe hope for an 8-8 record at the very end of the regular season. And just try and build up that defense, make it like it was before, and then try and fix the offense. I don't really know what else to say about that. I actually would want to talk more about Philadelphia at this point, and basically our predictions on, do you think that they can take the NFC East this year?
This year?
Do you think it will be the Cowboys?
I just want to say, I think that it's very possible for them to take the NFC East. Right now, the only thing that the Cowboys have the slight edge on the Eagles is that they had a bye week, so they're only 5-3 right now, where the Eagles are 5-4. I think it's very possible for the Eagles to still come out on top of their division.
The only thing that I would need that needs to happen in order to secure that is Philadelphia needs to play better against Dallas next time they meet.
Without a doubt.
Because when they played last time, that game was atrocious, at least when it came to the performance of Philadelphia.
Right. All right, so let's move on. Vikings versus Chiefs, which we said was a definite candidate, even with Mahomes being out for the game of the week. And I will say, this game did not disappoint. So,
I would agree. I mean, it was really close all the way down to the end.
So I will say, our score predictions, I predicted 27-24 Chiefs. I'm so pissed. I was 1 point above for both teams. I'm so pissed about that. You said 35-27 Chiefs, and the final score, 26-23 Chiefs. what are your thoughts on this game, and who do you think is going to take, or how are their playoff chances looking, you think?
Oh, when it comes to playoff chances, let me back up, talk about a little bit of the game. I was really impressed with both sides, with both Minnesota's performance and Kansas City's performance. I feel like both of them made very little mistakes, at least from what I remember. I could be totally wrong. And that they were really able to, I guess, show what their team is really supposed to look like at all times in every game. And obviously, I understand that's not possible, but at least on Kansas City's side, I think it was great. Still having Moore as the quarterback while Mahomes still continues to recover. I think he's going to be back. What is it, next week?
I think either next week, if not the week after.
Okay, but anyway, I think the Chiefs have secured their spot in the AFC West. I mean, I don't know for certain yet because we have been seeing a little bit of Oakland and Los Angeles, the Chargers, kind of stirring
Come
a
around
little
a little
bit,
bit.
you could say. Yep. But at this point, I still feel like Kansas City is going to take the AFC West. I don't know which seat they'll be able to take in the playoffs. That's still kind of up in the air. That could be number 2, number 1, number 3. I don't know. As for the Vikings, I think their playoff chances, they're going to have to fight a lot harder for theirs than the Chiefs will, because as we know, Green Bay holds the number 1 spot in the NFC North, and it's hard. It's sad to see because the Vikings actually do have a really good cohesive unit. Kirk Cousins is really starting to show this good quarterback side to him, where he's being more consistent. Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs are incredible receivers. And Dalvin Cook is an amazing running back. I brought up here thinking, what's the Vikings' missing piece? That's something I kind of want to talk about here. Is what's their missing piece that is going to for sure guarantee them a spot in the playoffs? What do you think, Shane?
Oh, that's a tough one because, as you said, Kirk Cousins has been doing okay. I mean, this past game wasn't his best game. He completed
No,
about 50% of his passes, but he threw 3 touchdowns, 220 yards. Like, okay, Dalvin Cook is doing good. Like, they have some good people all around. It's kind of hard to pinpoint the exact spot that could improve to make them an even stronger unit right now.
I guess the question is what could they do to take that number 1 spot from Green Bay?
In all honesty, it's going to just be, I think it's just going to be a bloodbath, straight up fisticuff fight for that number 1 spot because they're only trailing the Packers by 1 game, and the Packers did just take a loss this week. If anything, I think the Vikings might nab one of those wild card spots, and it'd be awesome if they played the Packers, because then that would be a fun game to watch. And if they usurped the Packers from that number 1 seed, I think it would blow a lot of people's minds. I think, in all honesty, at this point, the Vikings and the Vikings right now just have to fight and claw their way up.
It's interesting that you say that because it's not impossible for that to happen. I think back to 2010, in the case of the NFC Championship game, where it was the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. The Packers were actually the wild card seed, but they went on. They beat the Bears in the NFC Championship game, and then they won the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers that year.
So
It was cool to see that. I think there just needs to be a lot more, figuring out, okay, what can we tune here? What can we fix? Cousins, how can you continue to improve? Because we spent a lot of money on you. We got to do this. That sort of thing.
yeah, I think it's all honestly just going to come down to how much fight do they have in them, and how much are they willing to push themselves in order to get to where they want to be.
I agree. And also their defense is going to have to make Aaron Rodgers' life a living hell when they play the Packers next.
Yeah, so I would say both teams really good chance of making the playoffs. I feel like we didn't talk enough about Chiefs, so I'm just gonna do a quick little one about the Chiefs. Matt Moore has been a solid backup QB for them, and I feel like a lot of Chiefs fans are really relieved that he has been as solid of a performer as he is in the absence of Mahomes.
Agreed.
Anyways, let's move on because we don't want to take up everybody's entire night.
Yeah. Sure,
was I?
these are running a little bit long. We should probably shorten them just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Colts versus
Right.
Steelers. I'm going to read all the predictions. 24-14 Colts is what I said. You said 21-9 Colts. And then a surprise turnaround. 26-24 Steelers.
Right. It almost. Shane, what do you want to say about here? Was that more that Pittsburgh was doing good things, or the Colts dropped it?
I would say, this is tough because I see a few of our friends. So Duckmaster, he's actually the dude that I play Madden Mobile with. Super awesome dude. He's a big Steelers fan. And I see one of my other friends, Ed Main, is on. He's talking about Christian McCaffrey, which we'll get to him later. The Steelers, they were kind of like lacking, in my opinion, in the past few weeks, but they definitely showed up tonight. And in all honesty, like if we look on their standings right now, and I'm just pulling that up for everybody, they're 4-4. They're starting to gain on the Ravens a little bit. They're starting to pick up some momentum. So I think that leaves the question right now to how are they going to do this season? Are they going to rise above a lot of the doubt and possibly nail either a wild card spot or take away the Ravens throne? I can't decide because looking at the AFC, you have. I'm just looking at the wild card spots. I'm not looking at the top seeds. I'm looking at all the second place. The Bills are 6-2. Raiders are 4-4. Steelers are 4-4. Colts are 5-3. A wild card spot is a possibility for them right now, and I think they need to start kicking into gear like they did against the Colts, who were the number one seed for the AFC South this past week, and just take that wild card spot, call it a day, and go into the playoffs with that wild card seat and fight their way up there.
It has been really good to see that Pittsburgh was able to, sort of, I guess you could say, buck up and, say, okay, whatever. We lost a few games. We lost Big Ben. Let's still try and drive and see if we can at least get into a wild card spot. And that's what they're doing right now. And it's really cool to see that they're just not giving up, which is good. I think, again, time will tell. We'll have to see if they can win a few more in order to secure that wild card spot. In my personal opinion, I don't quite know if they can catch up to Baltimore at this point. But I think a wild card is definitely a possibility.
And I want to say, so as we talked about with our past podcasts, we do highly encourage viewers' participation. And Duckmaster, like I said, he's a bit Steeler fan, and he's saying that the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade really helped their defense. So with that boost on their defense, do you think that they're more of a threat now than they were a couple of weeks ago?
I would say they're more of a threat than they were when they got thrashed by the Patriots in Week 1.
Yeah, that was a little embarrassing. Let's not talk about that. But playoff chances, I say this was a way better game than I expected it to be, and it's keeping my team in the fight for the AFC South title, which I thank the Steelers for that. And I'm also both teams, I think, have a possibility to get into the playoffs, but it's going to be a fight for both of them.
Definitely. And I think it's going to be that way for the Colts as well, too, because of the little drop that they had here. They're going to have to fight a little bit more for the AFC South spot when they're going up against someone like the Texans.
Without a doubt. All right, so next game, we're going to Jets versus Dolphins, which I'm pulling up what our predictions were. I predicted 14-10 Jets. I thought it was going to be a close game. You said 24-14 Jets. The actual score, 26-18 Dolphins winning their first game. Jets only at 1-win game. Now what I find so funny is that now both teams, the Jets were coming into this game feeling like they were going to get a strong win, and the Dolphins just came out and just no, we're winning at least one game this season.
Here's one thing that I do want to bring up with this. Just talking about the Dolphins a little bit here is, I don't think there's anything that's too much in danger with the Dolphins season, at least in the case of their head coach. It's his first year. I don't think they're going to can him if they do have this terrible record that they do in his inaugural season at Miami. A lot of people have been saying recently, they're saying, well, the Dolphins now have one win, which leaves Cincinnati as the only team that has yet to win a game. So it's sort of the question is, do the Dolphins want Tua Tagovailoa? That's the biggest question is, do they want Tua Tagovailoa, who's supposedly supposed to be the number one draft pick? How are they going to get that if they have a win and Cincinnati doesn't? I just want to say this here, and a lot of other people have agreed with me. I've read about some differing opinions on this. The Dolphins are not trying to tank here. They are not trying to, just throw a wash on their season and say, okay, just give us, the number one draft pick. This isn't the Philadelphia 76ers trying to tank and get a good draft pick in the NBA. This is a situation where they are trying to get a new quarterback. They are trying to get a franchise quarterback, but realize that there are still a lot of other quarterbacks who are going to go in the draft, and they need one. And it may not even be Tua who goes as number one. And so during that time being, they are still trying to show that they are still an NFL team. They are still going to try and get wins. As we've seen over the past few weeks, the Dolphins have been trying to win. Now, the beginning of the season, we'll forget about that. They were just getting all those teams. But now, let's at least say that, okay, the Dolphins are not tanking. Let's try and get rid of that saying out of the conversation when it comes to the Miami Dolphins.
At least for now. And I want to say, so with Tua Tagovailoa, he is definitely a high prospect. So two points I want to make with that is that we have seen in past where top prospects, number one overall picks, came out as a complete bust for a team. I don't think he was number one overall pick. I can't quite remember, but Johnny Manziel, complete bust, and he was expected to be this dominant quarterback. Complete bust and was shoved out of the NFL pretty fast. And just with my personal team, Josh Allen, the defensive end, or offensive linebacker, something like that. I can't remember the exact position he is. He was expected to go in the top 3, top 5, and he fell all the way to the Jaguars. We nabbed him, and he has been a dominant force. So it's going to come to that point where it's like, is the team going to pass on Tua? Is he going to fall in somewhere that a lot of people didn't expect? I'm honestly excited to see that because we have seen those kind of big moves happen before. Anyways, with the overall, better game than I thought it would be. I'm honestly quite happy the Dolphins won. I think that they deserved it. I always feel bad for a team that goes winless an entire season. I'm happy for the Dolphins, but I don't really have much more to say about that game.
The only other thing that I can say about that is the Jets are really struggling. Sam Darnold is really struggling. I think it's about time where maybe the Jets need to hit the panic button. I think Adam Gase is probably going to get fired within the next few weeks, if not at the very end of the season. Sorry, New York. It's another wash of a season.
I do have one more to say. One more thing, and I want your opinion, and I'll even take anyone who's watching's opinion. Is Fitzmagic back? Even for just one game or 2 games, is Fitzmagic temporarily back?
I don't want to rule out. I don't want to give my opinion on that yet because I feel like Fitzmagic has to be something that's consistent. I got a few more games.
Okay. I'm just showing everyone. He went 24 for 36, 3 touchdowns, 288 yards. He had a solid game. And when he was playing with the Buccaneers, he was on fire and everyone was like, oh, Fitzmagic. And then he went on a string of bad luck. Could he still have a little magic left in his pocket, do you at least think?
Good. Time will tell.
All right, let's move on. Redskins versus Bills, and I have our predictions. You said 20-17 Bills. I thought the Redskins would be a lot more resilient than they were. I said 14-10 Redskins. The actual score was 24-9 Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to start out by saying the Redskins disappointed me because they were holding down the 49ers. They've been holding down some good teams. The Bills are a good team, so I figured, hey, they'll probably hold them down because they're in second place for the AFC, right underneath the Patriots. Not all over the AFC, but in their division.
The AFC East, yes.
Yeah. So I thought they were going to hold them a little bit more, but it just didn't happen this week. In all honesty, I think the Bills are a good team. I just think the Bills brought it more this week.
Agreed. And I still say that, Josh Allen really brings together a good cohesive unit in Buffalo. I still feel like Buffalo is going to get a wild card spot in the AFC offseason, or not offseason, excuse me, postseason for the playoffs. As for Washington, I honestly I think we should just move on from here. The only thing that I feel like the Redskins can do at this point to maybe make their season, get something good out of their season, is just to continue starting Dwayne Haskins. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, Redskins playoff chances kind of at nothing. Bills still fighting for that wild card spot and potentially the AFC East title, but yeah, kind of nothing to be too terribly surprised about. So let's move on to the Titans and the Panthers. And boy, oh boy, was this a pretty good game. I said it was going to be 27-24 Panthers. You said 24-17 Panthers. Actual score was 30-20 Panthers. What are your thoughts of this game?
I think, again, it's just more, Carolina is still trying to make that run at a wild card spot in the playoffs. It looks like it's doing there's a really good unit there, a really good connection there between Allen and McCaffrey. You know what? That's really what my thoughts on Carolina in a nutshell. As far as Tennessee goes, it's just Tennessee being Tennessee. They're still they're just still being mediocre. That's all I have to say.
I think what I'm shocked about is that we were talking about how pretty good Tannehill was this past couple of weeks. He did not have that good of a game. He threw for a lot of yards, and he had a good amount of completions.
Yeah.
He threw 2 interceptions in that game against the Carolina Panthers, which is kind of worrisome if you just benched Mariota and just kind of brought in Ryan Tannehill to take over this position. And I want to jump over to the Panthers side. Kyle Allen, I don't think he's your guys' future. He's not doing too hot. He's not doing bad, but I feel like he's inconsistent. I will say, though, I still feel like this, and I felt like this since my team played the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey, he is a beast, and if you do not watch him, he is going to run all over your defense, and he is going to be probably the biggest threat on the defense. And my buddy Ed Main, who is on here, he said the defense has been doing pretty well, which the Panthers defense is pretty solid. But I also just want to give a quick shout out to Christian McCaffrey. I honestly think he is probably in the running for an MVP award.
He better be, in my opinion. He has been phenomenal this season, and it's sad to see. You would feel like he would get a lot more hype and a lot more recognition than he already is if the Panthers had a better winning record. It's really amazing to see how he has just picked up this team, put it on his back, and said, "Here we go, let's do this."
He has been the backbone of this team, and I think that's what a lot of people overlook with this Panthers team, is that, yes, the defense has been doing pretty well. Brian Burns is doing good, but Christian McCaffrey, he has been the life force of this team. He has been the driving factor in this team and everything that he has been doing. And we are getting a lot of comments with this Panthers talk. So Edmonds keep talking is saying he's on track. Saw a comparison between him and LT when LT got MVP. LT is honestly one of the best running backs I've ever seen play. And apparently they literally have the same stats through 8 games. In all honesty, Christian McCaffrey, super awesome dude. I love what he does on and off the field. If he doesn't win MVP of this year, there better be somebody who is absolutely blowing people out of the water, in my personal opinion.
It's probably going to be this, Shane. If he doesn't win MVP, they'll put him on the Madden cover.
Oh, no. No, we don't want to do that to him. Don't take a good one from us.
We don't, no.
Oh, no. Okay. Sorry, we talked about Madden covers last time.
Yeah, so we'll move on from there. We're just saying, hopefully Christian McCaffrey's not the one who they put on the Madden cover, because we would not want that to come back and bite him. The only last thing that I want to say about the Carolina Panthers is they did announce today that they are putting Cam Newton back on injured reserve. The table when he could return is he could return for the playoffs. That's just a little bit of an update on him. He will not play in any game during the regular season.
And in all honesty, like, if you guys want to talk more about like everything about everything, just scroll down a little bit on our channel, and you'll see this thing that says Discord. If you just click on that link, and if you have a Discord account, it's super easy to make. You can click on that. You can join in on all the conversations in Discord, debate everything, and talk everything back and forth between everyone who watches this channel. And that's like kind of the community we're trying to build with this, is being able to have these really awesome discussions. And so look forward to seeing that. But let's move on to Lions versus Raiders. This was a more interesting game than I think we did. And I will say, I'm saying this now, and I will get off my pedestal. Lions, you freaking disappoint me yet again. Last time I doubted you, and you win. This time I go with you, and you lose. And I want to say, this is an amazing miracle that we had happen here on this podcast. So, 4-score predictions. I said the score was going to be 31-24 Lions. You said 27-24 Raiders. The actual score is 31-24 Raiders. I want to say, even though I got the team wrong, I nailed the freaking score, which I think is super cool, super awesome, and a milestone for this podcast. And between me and McKay, we completely nailed this prediction for this week.
I'll say that felt pretty good. Where I was like, okay, well, we got that right for the most part. That's good.
Hey, I mean, I got the score, you got the team. It works.
Let's continue just because we're kind of
we're eating up some time.
Yeah, so
playoff chances though, we forgot to do that with Titans and Panthers. Titans, I'd say they're falling out. Panthers, they are contenders. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I got nothing on that with that. Lions versus Raiders. Sorry, not looking to see the Raiders in the playoffs this year. Maybe next year. Lions, no, not with Minnesota and Green Bay doing as well as they are.
And then with their other competition, they have the Seahawks, who are also right behind the 49ers. I don't think the Lions are going to make it. Speaking of the Seahawks, though, Buccaneers versus Seahawks. We predicted for this game, you said 31-13 Seahawks. I said 28-10 Seahawks. Actual score, Seahawks in overtime, 40-34. My goodness, was this a good game to watch?
It was, and the only things that I want to talk about with this, just to kind of bounce ideas off each other and give our opinions on it, you talked about Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has, the Fitz magic moments where all of a sudden he has these moments of greatness where he's doing great. You know what? I kind of see that from Jameis Winston, where it's like he has these good games. I guess where his team is able to keep it close, or they do beat a team that is supposed to be really good. Like they beat the Rams earlier this season, and then they keep it real tight against the Seahawks. Do you think that those are moments of greatness that Jameis Winston has, or is it just a fluke? Because I think it's just a fluke, but I could be wrong.
See, I think Jameis Winston is not as bad as he looks. Looking at scores from the Seahawks team, and this Seahawks team is a good team. 29 for 44, 335 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty darn solid game, if I say so myself. But we got to look on the other side of the ball, because we have talked about Russell Wilson being a potential MVP candidate, and this is one person I think would give Christian McCaffrey a run for his money. Agreed. Russell Wilson, 29 for 43, 378 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He had 5 touchdowns. That is awesome. He had a phenomenal game. In all honesty, if he didn't put up as strong of a game as he did, I think the Buccaneers probably would have won this one.
I think you're right. So that leaves it up here, Shane. Buccaneers, playoff contender?
Buccaneers, playoff contender, showing everyone where they stand in the rankings. They're right about the Falcons, 2-6. They're out at this point. They got to get past the Panthers and the Saints. And then they have a lot of wild card contention as well. They're out. Their season's done. However, on the other hand, Seahawks, their looks are very alive right now.
I agree. So are they going to get the wild card, or are they going to get the number 1 seed in the NFC West? Are they going to beat out San Francisco? You tell me.
I'm going with something bold. And we talked about this at the beginning of this episode. I think the 49ers are going to take the NFC West title. Seahawks are definitely going to get a wild card spot, though.
How about this, Shane? Let me just add a little bit to that. What if? Now, this isn't an official prediction. This is just me offering this as a question. What if, you are correct. The 49ers take the NFC West, the Seahawks take the wild card, they play each other, and the Seahawks win out. We think that's a possibility.
I think it's a possibility. I mean, it's very early to speculate things, but I like to do this every once in a while. So, my NFC West playoff prediction for the NFC title to go into the Super Bowl, I think it's probably going to be the 49ers versus Saints. I'm sorry, Panthers. I think you guys are going to be a threat, but I think the Saints are really going to bring it this year. I think it's going to be between the 49ers and the Saints. I think the Seahawks are going to be good, and if anything, I would say it's going to be the Saints versus the Seahawks in the finals.
We'll just have to see. That'd be a real good NFC final matchup.
Anyways, moving on to our next game. So, 2 shockers in a row. This week was full of surprises, in all honesty. Packers versus Chargers with what the heck happened? Chargers turned on the gas, didn't let up, and kind of blew the Packers out of the water a little bit. And the Packers have been on a tear lately.
Again, was it a fluke? I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to say not a fluke. Rivers is good. I would say if anything was a fluke, Rodgers' day was a fluke.
I would agree with that, because normally we see better from Aaron Rodgers.
And this week he was only subpar, but playoff predictions and our personal predictions for the game. We had predicted, I said 35-17 Packers. You said 35-21 Packers. The actual score 26-11 Chargers. Playoff predictions. Packers I think are going to get in the playoffs. I don't know where they quite stand. Chargers, they're starting to come up and trying to fight a little bit for one of the wild card spots, because most of the NFC teams are either at 6 or under. So the Bills are 6, and the second best team is the Colts, who are at 5. So it's going to be a pretty solid fight between these two teams on who gets that second wild card spot.
Right. And in my opinion, yes, the Chargers could. Yes, they've been putting a lot better of an initiative out recently, but I still don't think it's going to be enough for them to take a playoff spot this year. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Browns versus Broncos. Pulling up the scores for that, just so we can rattle through and we can get to some of the more fun topics. So, you said 24-17 Broncos. I said 24-14 Broncos. Final score 24-19 Broncos. I don't think anybody's too surprised with that. Broncos, They're doing good. Browns, your season's done. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, it was cool to see, Flacco's backup be able to put on a good game as the starting quarterback for Denver that week. And other than that, that's all I really have to say. I mean, the hype wasn't real for Cleveland. Too bad.
Although,
try again next year. That's how Cleveland has been since the start of this millennium. They're just not a good football team.
So, with it seeing you next year, speaking of seeing you next year, Baker Mayfield, will you see him with the Browns next year?
You will. Now, could he be better next year? Yeah, he probably could be.
Does he have one foot out the door right now, though?
Let me ask you this question, Shane. Where would he go?
I can't even decide where he would go. He could go... I feel like he could go to a team that's not doing so hot this season, like the Bengals or...
Bears.
The Bears, or...
What if he became the starting quarterback over Mitchell Trubisky? What if?
I mean, that's more of a you question. In all honesty, I think he would either go somewhere to give somebody competition that is trying to figuring out their quarterback situation, or he would go in somewhere to be a strong backup quarterback.
Okay. I don't know. Or he will just stay at Cleveland.
Well, I mean, as we have seen, the Cleveland Browns, they like to get rid of quarterbacks pretty soon if they aren't performing to what they expect.
This is true. This is true. Okay, moving on to our Sunday night football game. This is the big one, the one that we said would be the game of the week,
And
and it
it did
turns out
not
it was.
disappoint. So,
Yep, Patriots versus Ravens. Ravens win out. Patriots are no longer undefeated.
so our score predictions, we both said 28-24 Ravens. Ravens gave us a little bit more of a surprise, 37-20. What are your personal thoughts of this game? I want to know what people that are watching think. What do you guys think of the Patriots? I talked a little bit about like how they've only played bad teams, but I want to know your opinion, McKay.
Well, specifically on the Patriots or on the Ravens?
Both. Why not?
With the Ravens, I don't think they're no joke. Lamar Jackson is a stellar quarterback. They've got a really good unit. I mean, let's talk about one thing with the Ravens. Their kicker, he doesn't miss. Extra points, field. They've got a good setup there, and I would really love to see maybe the Ravens go to an AFC Championship game this year, which I really think they could be. The team that could do that. Maybe play, I don't know, maybe New England. Maybe this could be a rematch as the AFC Championship game. I don't know. As far as the Patriots go, still have a dominant defense. Even with the loss the other night, the only thing that's really lacking in New England's case right now is Tom Brady. It's really weird to say that, but he's struggling.
I was gonna say we talked about this. I think and I know in either one of our episodes, Tom Brady. Everyone has been saying he is the best quarterback of all time. Still saying that he is the best. I have been trying to tell people. I'm like, I feel like he's declining, and watching the past few games and the stats that he's been pulling, I feel like it's starting to show a little bit. I mean, he's still really accurate, but if you look at all of his passes, he's averaging less than 10 yards a pass, which yes, it does move the chains, but his average is not what I feel like it used to be. He also threw one touchdown and one interception. I feel like he's starting to decline and starting to show a little bit.
It's highly possible. It just wasn't a good game for the Patriots. Yeah, they tried to hang in there, but it just was not quite enough. And we'll just have to see if that's going to continue or if that dominant defense is still going to really just run the game.
But both teams, playoffs, I can see it.
Sure. And then Giants versus Cowboys, our Monday Night Football matchup.
Our team that disappointed me this week. So our predictions, I said 31-28 Giants. You said 27-22 Cowboys. The actual 37-18 Cowboys. What are your thoughts on this game, if any?
The Giants, maybe they could have won. They were just cursed by a black cat that ran out on the field.
Yeah, the black cat ran across the goal line. They're like, well, that goes our entire game because now we're cursed with bad luck.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've been saying that about Monday Night Football the past while. Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, Dolphins almost winning, and now there's a black cat. Who knows?
What can happen? No one knows. Anyways, I don't think we have too much to add from that game, so we can go on to our predictions for next week. So, first game, Chargers versus Raiders. Who you got on this?
Chargers versus Raiders. I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one.
Yeah?
Yep, I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one. Let's say, I still feel like this will be a close one too, but more of a high-scoring game. Let's say 30-24 Chargers.
Right. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. They are both in the same division. They play each other. They know each other. Derek Carr, Phillip Rivers. actually a fun game to watch in my opinion. I think I am going to give the slight edge with the Chargers just because I trust Phillip Rivers as a quarterback a little bit more. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game though. I'm going to say the score. Oh, because I'm also just now remembering. I'm like, Chargers did just blow out the Packers. I'm going to say it's going to be 24 to 13. That's what I'm going to go with. All right. Giants versus Jets.
New York's gonna win. Just kidding.
Yes, New York wins. See, guys, we cannot be wrong in this prediction. We will win this one no matter what. New York wins.
Oh, I'm going with the Giants on this one, and I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a really good game in this matchup. And you know what? It could. I might even want to say it could be. Well, no, maybe not quite a blowout, but one where the Giants do have a considerable edge. Let's just say the final score is 27-17.
I think that's a pretty good guess. I will say, we actually could have been wrong by saying New York wins. For all we know, New York could lose. It could just be the most boring game for both sides of Jets and Giants. I am going to lean more so with the Giants to take this one. Like you said, Barkley's going to be good. Darnold, I don't really know what's going on with that man. He saw ghosts and he has not been the same ever since.
Oh, he is not.
Daniel Jones he's been a little bit more consistent than Darnold, so I'm going to say Giants get the edge on this one. I'm going to say final score, though, is going to be... What did you say it was?
27-17.
27-17? I'm going to bump it a little bit lower. I'm going to say 24-17.
Okay, cool.
All right. Falcons versus Saints?
Really? Is that even a question?
Division rivals. You can never underestimate a division rival game.
No, and I will not. I made this mistake a little while ago with the last Falcons game where I said that they would only score 3 points. I'm not going to say that this time. I will say the Saints will definitely hold them back, and the final score, though, will be something like 31 to... I don't know. Let's say 31-17.
And it's really interesting because Saints have only lost one, Falcons have only won one. I think Matty Ice might be returning this week. I really hope he is. But, you can't beat Breeze. The Saints are a dominant force this season. I think the Saints are going to take it. It's going to be a little bit more of a blowout than what I really want to say. But I'm not going to because, I have a fear of going big. I'm going to say the final score is going to be 38-9.
Ooh, all right. We'll see. You could be right.
That's a big one, but I'm giving the Falcons a little bit more credit than I really was in thinking.
Giving them less credit than I did. Okay, next game?
Chiefs versus Titans.
Chiefs, obviously. Let's say 35-19.
35-19. And I think Mahomes is coming back this week. It's either this week or next week. But the Titans, they've been struggling a little bit. I think the Chiefs are going to take it. I don't think it's going to be as big as you're thinking. I'm going to say it's probably going to be about 27-13. If Mahomes is back, I'm going to change my score, and I'm just going to put it out there. If Mahomes is in and Mahomes is playing, it's going to be like 35-10.
Yep. Sounds about right.
All right. Ravens versus the winless Bengals.
Oh, is this even a question?
They are division rivals. One is the top. Ravens are at the top of theirs. Bengals are at the very bottom. Could the Bengals win their first game?
No. Can they show a little bit more initiative? Can they be a bit more aggressive? Yes. Are they going to win? No.
Oh, I thought you were gonna
Um,
say no on the initiative part as well, because that's what I
they
was thinking.
they could they very well could because it is a division rival. Um, and for my score prediction, um, it'll be something like 28 to. Again, I want to go in the teens somewhere. Again, maybe like 28 to 17 is what I'm feeling. So
Okay.
yeah, the Bengals will be, and in fact, I could almost see like the Bengals trying to, get something going in the first half, and then the Ravens just come out and they dominate the game in the second half. That's how I could see this game going.
I am going to say Ravens are going to take it 31-6. And I also just want to invite our audience, and they want to play along in the chat. Go ahead and post your predictions for whatever game
Absolutely.
you personally think is going to be the score or who's going to win. Anyways, 31-6 Ravens is my opinion. Let's move on. Bills versus Browns.
Um, this I feel like is going to be a close game. Buffalo is going to win out. Final score 26-24.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it close. We'll just see. It would be really cool if I was on with that, and that would be an interesting game too.
You're giving the Browns a lot of credit right now.
I think the Browns can. I feel like they can be a good team. They just make all these mistakes.
I agree with you because they have Jarvis Landry, they have OBJ, they have Mayfield, who has shown that he can be a dominant quarterback. It's just, whatever reason, nothing is clicking in Cleveland right now. I am going to give the edge to the Bills with you, though, just because they are eyeing that playoff spot. They are real contenders right now, and they can even see if they can win that AFC East from the New England Patriots. I think it's gonna be close, but I don't think it's gonna be as close as you're thinking. I'm gonna say it's going to be 26 to 21 Bills.
Okay. I could see that. Hey, don't forget Nick Chubb though either on the list for.
Oh, I'm not. That's the main reason I'm giving the Browns a little bit of credit right now. I forgot to mention him, but yeah, he's a big contender as well.
He's more of an offensive threat than Baker Mayfield is, if you ask me.
Yeah, but a lot of things kind of run. The way I'm looking at it is that OBJ and Landry, their key effectiveness is primarily running through Mayfield right now.
That is true. That is very true.
So if they contain Chubb, they're forcing Mayfield to throw, and it all kind of depends on that.
It's true. And at this point, what ends up happening is Mayfield throws an interception.
All right. Next game, we have Cardinals versus Buccaneers. Both put on really good shows against good teams this past week. Who do you got?
I got the Cardinals on this.
You're going with the Cardinals.
I'm going with Arizona on this. And
what's your score?
I want to say something like 27 to 24. Yeah.
I agree with you that it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. Jameis Winston has been showing that he has been pretty comfortable under that line right now. He's been throwing up some solid numbers and stats. I'm going to say the Buccaneers are going to take it. I'm going to say it's the same score, 27 to 24.
Let's see.
All right, your team, and it's a divisional, Lions versus Bears.
No, and let me just state my reasons here really quickly. I think the Bears defense can contain Stafford, and the Lions defense is really struggling right now, which may give just enough for Mitchell Trubisky to maybe get a good pass to either Taylor Gabriel or Allen Robinson, setting up opportunities for touchdowns. They're running the ball a little bit more with David Montgomery. I think the Bears can win this one. So I'm going to go with them on this, with the final score being 21 to 17.
Ooh. See, and I thought I was going to be the differing opinion because I thought you honestly might have gone Lions in this game. I was actually thinking Bears, but it's going to be a nail-biter at the very end. And I'm only saying it this 21 to 20 Bears. The main reason it's 21 to 20 is because your kicker
I
got.
knew you were going to bring up the kicker. Oh, no,
Uh,
no.
I'm saying this as a good thing. I'm saying this is a
Okay.
good thing. Bears take it because you guys scored earlier than the Lions and were able to get those extra points clean, and then were able to prevent the Lions from getting what I predict is going to be a 2-point conversion to try to win it away from you guys. Your defense is going to be able to stop them instead of forcing overtime and hold the Lions back.
Agreed. One other prediction that I am going to make with this game, Trubisky and Stafford both get sacked 3 times.
Ooh, at least 3 or exactly 3?
At least 3.
All right. Next game, we have Dolphins versus Colts. Oh, what are your thoughts?
It'll be Indianapolis. I feel like they're going to they're gonna try and rally after their loss to Pittsburgh. And final score will be 24-13.
Okay. I really, really want to say the Dolphins win this game. Just because, like, they showed this past week that they aren't purposely tanking. The Colts
Right.
did struggle, but I think the Colts are just a better overall team with more weapons than the Dolphins. I'm going to say the Colts take it 21-10. All right, next game, Packers versus Panthers.
Oh, dude, I don't know with this one. This one's hard.
And like I said, our audience is free to participate either in Discord, in chat right now. This is a tough one. This is, honestly, I would say this will probably be the game to watch this week, which there aren't that many games to watch this week, which is a little bit more disappointing. I feel like a lot of them are very one-sided or can be, or have the potential to be close, but not, like, they're not two dominant teams. They're like two lower-end teams that are going to make it a fun, competitive game. I feel like
Right.
these are two really, really good teams, and there's one other game of the week that I will say is coming up. Two really, really good teams. I think I'm going to have to go with the Panthers on this one with McCaffrey carrying everybody. The Panthers defense, if they look as solid as they have been, I think they're going to be able to outplay the Packers, limit Rodgers, which, as we saw with this past week against the Chargers, that was the key factor in beating the Packers this week. I think the Panthers are going to take it. It's going to be close. I'm going to say it's going to be 28-25.
Hey, you know, the funny thing is that I want to. My gut instinct says the Packers are going to win, but I want to go against my gut instinct, and I want to say that the Panthers win this as well. And what did you say your score prediction was?
28-25.
I'll say the same thing. Let's
All
go with
right.
that.
All right, Rams versus Steelers. This could be interesting. Steelers have been putting on a show lately, and the Rams have started to fall down a little bit.
I think Pittsburgh's going to win.
Really?
I do. I think it'll be a close game, but Pittsburgh will win, with the final score being something like 24-21.
Okay. You know, I honestly thought you were going to say the Rams. I'm going with the Steelers as well for this week. I'm going to say the score. 21-13. Rams just can't get it done this week.
All right.
Okay, Vikings versus Cowboys. Sunday Night Football.
Are they playing in Dallas or in Minnesota?
They are playing in Dallas.
Fine. I'm saying the Cowboys win.
Oh, how dirty does that feel coming out of your mouth?
I feel like I should go wash my mouth out with soap. I literally feel like I just cussed at the dinner table, and yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Your mom's gonna smack you across the face for what you just said.
Exactly.
I mean, and I just want to say, if I remember right, you also said that the Cowboys were going to win last week, and they did.
I know.
So
I
2 weeks in a row, you're picking the Cowboys.
My stomach is churning as I think.
Here, to make you feel a little bit better, I'm going with the Vikings this week. They've been
Right.
dominant. They're trying to knock the Packers out of that number one spot, and with the Panthers being a legitimate threat to the Packers, I think the Vikings see this as a strong opportunity to come in full power, never let off the gas. I'm going to say the score is going to be 31-17 Vikings.
Okay. And I do need to still add my predictions. Um, with this one, maybe something like 28-17 with the Cowboys winning.
Oh, we're both going big games. We'll just have to see who ends up taking it home. Anyways, Monday Night Football, though, that's going to be a good game to watch. Grab your friends, grab your family, have an entire giant party for this game. Seahawks 49ers. This is a big game because the Seahawks are only one game behind the 49ers for the NFC West. This could change everything for the 49ers, and the Seahawks might be able to deliver them their first loss of the season.
They could. They very well could. And you know what? I'm actually going to go with the Seahawks for winning this one. It's going to be close. I really do think it's going to be close, but with the Seahawks winning out in the end. With the final score, again, sort of more of a high-scoring game, somewhat. 31-28 Seahawks.
Ooh.
I know we talked about earlier, I know we said earlier, McKay, what are you doing? You said that you were going to swallow your pride and you're going to say the 49ers are for real. I got to go with Seattle on this one.
And I think I want to make the point. You are not saying that the 49ers are not real. I think you're just giving credit that the Seahawks are also real, which they very much are. And I agree with you. This is going to be a close game. This is going to be a fun game. I think I'm going to stick with the 49ers on this one. And it is going to be a close game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Wilson has been on fire. Jimmy G has been on fire. It's going to be a tough, gritty, well-thought-out game. And in all honesty, if we could have two NFC teams in the Super Bowl, I wouldn't mind watching this game as the Super Bowl game. I think it's going to be 38-35, 49ers taking it.
Highly possible. I think it'll be good.
And that wraps up our predictions for the week. But we do have a few other things that we want to discuss.
Well, we do have a few other things to discuss, but I think we actually are going to have to put them on hold maybe for this week and go into them next week just because, again, we're going over a little bit. And I think that's more something that we can bring up next week once we have kind of figured out maybe how to shorten these discussions regarding the teams and the matchups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we want to try to keep them around the hour to an hour and a half time frame, which we've been doing fairly consistently, but that's kind of like the goal, I think, is for an hour and a half. But
yeah,
I think
and more around an hour.
Yeah, I think we still want to at least throw out our fan vote at the very minimum.
I say we should do that. Our for the fun topic, which we mentioned last week, was okay, if Kaepernick were to be assigned to a new team, which team would work best for him? Same thing with Antonio Brown. We're going to move that to next week. Talk more about that then. So at the very end, let's just talk about our little fan vote here. And I think maybe what we can do is talk about or use this as our fan vote from the week before, because I haven't heard much chatter on it, which is if Kaepernick and Antonio Brown were signed to new teams, where would they work best?
Without a doubt. And I'm just posting this in the chat, and I'll be posting in the Discord later. Is that, what do you guys think? Where do you think they will go? And in all honesty, I think we'll come back next week with our personal takes on it.
Definitely. And then at that point, we'll kind of have a discussion about it from then on.
Yeah. But in all honesty, we do want to leave you guys with that. And I did say that there was one secret last week, and this is probably what we will close on. I talked to you, McKay, about it, and I think, right. And if you guys have paid attention between a change from last week to this week, there is a YouTube section on the channel now. If you click right where it says YouTube, that giant red panel. It will take you straight to our YouTube page where it has all of our podcasts. So if you want to show your friends, you can go there, watch it. If you miss any part of it and you want to watch the rest of it, go there and it will be there for your enjoyment. It's a lot easier for a lot of people because like I know that like my parents and like their friends want to like watch it because NFL goes from ages to like 8 to 80 plus. So people of all ages have different ways. This Twitch is just like better for broadcasting on my end personally, and YouTube will be a good place for anybody to go anywhere. McKay, we do have one comment about where will AB and Kaepernick go. Do you want to hear about it?
Let's hear the one
Right.
comment. I'll
So
kind
it's
of
from
close out.
Duckmaster. He says, "I think they would."
Uh-huh.
He says, "I think they could fit anywhere. It just depends on which teams are willing to bear the burden of their off-the-field issues, along with the lucrative deals that they will want." Which, in all honesty, I think he makes a really good point with that.
He does, and that's something that I kind of want to talk about with that is, okay, with that being said, what teams does that narrow down to? And that's what we're going to be talking about next week.
Yep, and we will see you guys next week. And feel free to chat up in the Discord. We'll have a spot for you guys to just go in, debate till your heart's content on where they should go.
Exactly, and then we'll kind of bring it all together next week, talk about your thoughts, our thoughts, all together here on For the Fans. Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you guys next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. After that, figure out what time you need to tune in, and also check us out on YouTube. Watch it there if you really, really want to go back and watch it or show friends and want an easy access to it. Twitch is a lot better for live, so remember to follow us, go to YouTube, like our videos, help us build our channel, show your friends and family, and we'll see you guys next week, and it'll be a lot of fun.
And until then, stay safe, work hard, keep your loved ones close, and make sure they're not Cowboys fans.
I was hoping you would bring that up. Anyways, have a good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.